What's going on, guys? It's Simo. So today I'm bringing to you a discussion on the brand new Holy Knight archetype that is inspired by one of Yu-Gi-Oh's oldest and most classic vanilla monsters, Seiyaryu. Now, for people who may not remember, Seiyaryu is just a normal monster. It's the pink dragon that people would want to put up there in the echelon with like Red Eyes Black Dragon and Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is a very classic, playground Yu-Gi-Oh type of card. Let's go ahead and just look at it to remember. It is a light level 7 dragon, 2500 attack, 2300 defense. Again, aside from people just wanting to play this because it was a cool pink dragon, that was about it. This card has virtually seen no play and really hasn't done anything, but we now have an entire archetype centralized around this, and I love this. I love when Konami decides to just retrain older archetypes. Sometimes it gets a little bit tiresome depending on how much they've retrained it, but I think it's cool when they take some somewhat legendary cards from like way back in the day. Like, and this is one of them. Like, people who used to play back then know this card, and again, they know that like it didn't really do anything, but it was just a cool looking card. I believe it might have been a DDS promo. Someone will correct me on that, I'm sure, but let's go ahead and get into the Holy Knight cards themselves and see how the retrain is looking. So first up is the Dragon Shining on the Holy Knight, otherwise known as Radiant Seiyaryu. So it's a level 7 light dragon effect monster, 2500 attack, 2300 defense. So the stats are exactly the same as the original. Now let's take an up close look at the artwork here and see if we can notice the similarities. Yeah, I definitely see it. It definitely just looks like a solid retrain for sure. It looks like it underwent the Paladin of White Dragon treatment type of situation. Who knows? We'll see a bit more once we dive into the rest of these cards, but let's go ahead and read some effects. So if this card is normal or special summoned from your hand, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. Okay. Not bad. It depends on how easily we can special summon this, because I doubt we're going to be normal summoning this, so we'll have to look out for that. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark monster, and cannot be destroyed by a dark monster's effect. That's a very specific type of destruction protection. Not bad. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh's most powerful cards are in fact dark, so that could potentially lead to some sort of like anti-meta pick depending on how a particular meta shapes up. Who knows? The third effect, once per turn at the start of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster until the end phase. Also, this card can make one more attack in a row. Interesting. So when it attacks, it has a Burning Abyss Farfa style of effect where it banishes the monster for the end of the turn. You can then attack with Seiyaryu. You have to attack with it again first before attacking with anything else, but it allows you to clear the way so that you can get in for a lot of damage potentially. And it's not like true removal, it's like pseudo removal, because the card will come back. But if you're going to OTK your opponent, it doesn't really matter. So we'll have to see if there's a window there. One thing that's particularly interesting about this card, there's no once per turn clause anywhere aside from this part here, where it says that you can banish the opponent's monster. And the thing is, this is a soft once per turn. So if you had multiple copies, you theoretically could use that effect twice. Now, the thing is, it does have to attack in a row. So if your opponent has two monsters, you can't like attack with one, then attack with the other to banish both of them, and then attack with both. You have to do it in order. So that's one of the downsides, but it's still interesting to me that for this first effect here, again, no once per turn clause. So if there is a way to get this out on the board multiple times, or if there's a way to get multiple of them on the field in a given turn, you could be popping cards left and right. That may not be too bad. We'll have to see how the rest of the archetype looks, so let's go ahead and dive in. Next up is Holy Knight Rael. So it's a level 4 light fairy effect monster, 1800 attack, 700 defense, so very well statted, great attribute. Fairy typing is also not bad either. You can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn. When this card is normal summon, you can add one Holy Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. All right, sounds pretty good. It's a +1 on summon. Can't complain with that. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Holy Knight monster in your graveyard, except Rael, special summon it. Very interesting. It's just basically a monster reborn, but it does it from the graveyard. So if this does manage to hit the graveyard in some capacity, you could send it there yourself. There's a myriad of ways to do that. You can get another Holy Knight monster back. Now, I'm not sure if this counts. I think this counts as a Holy Knight monster, but I'm not sure. If it does, that's pretty cool. We're gonna have to see what the Holy Knight spells and traps do to see if this search effect is worth it. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up is Holy Knight Astel. So it's a level 4 light fairy effect, 500 attack, 2000 defense. Not the best stats, but 2000 I guess is a little bit beefy. You can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn each. First, as a quick effect, you can target one light monster you control and tribute it. If you do, special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. This is kind of neat because since it's a quick effect and it's any other light monster, it doesn't have to be a Holy Knight. So as long as you have a light monster, if that card gets threatened, you can chain Astel, tribute that monster, and bring out your Seiyaryu. You dodge whatever effect your opponent might have had, and then Seiyaryu can then pop a card, so you're getting some pretty nice value there. Interesting. Second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a level 7 light dragon monster you control, gains 1000 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. That's like fine. It pumps up the Seiyaryu to get in for some more damage, but I don't think that's like too great. That's just a bonus if anything. All right, next up is Holy Knight Flamel. So it's a level 4 light fairy effect monster, 1500 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use either this card's name 1 or 2 effect per turn and only once that turn. So keep in mind this one is one or the other. You can't use both. When an opponent's monster attacks, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Okay, so this is a way to get it out, and then it triggers the effect that you can destroy a card. You have to have it in your hand, so as long as there's ways to get it to your hand, that's not bad, I suppose. It also bypasses needing to tribute, so that's pretty good. Let's see the second effect. As a quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a level 7 dragon monster you control or have in your graveyard, return it to your hand. Okay, so that's another way that you can get this to your hand. The problem with this is because you can't use both effects in a turn, you can't like have one engrave, banish it, add the Seiyaryu to your hand, then take one on the field if your opponent's attacking you, send it to the graveyard, and then drop it down, or if you had one of these in your hand. So that kind of sucks, but again, I guess it's some sort of balancing mechanic, I suppose. It's a way to bypass tribute summoning, which is always nice, and obviously this deck's win condition is probably going to be to get this card onto the field, so that's not bad. Let's also keep in mind that it says any level 7 light dragon. It does not have to be the Seiyaryu specifically, but all these cards are probably going to be designed around that. We'll have to see what else they talk about towards the end of this. So next up is Holy Knight Bellfire. So it's a normal spell. You can only activate it once per turn. Add one Holy Knight monster or one level 7 light dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Then if your opponent controls a dark monster while you control no monsters, you can special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Wow, okay, this is really good because that makes Rael really powerful, because Rael can then get to the spell, and the spell can get you to anything else in your deck that is a Holy Knight or a level 7 light dragon. Additionally, if your opponent's on dark monsters, which some of the strongest monsters in the game are dark, so that's very practical, if you're going second, you can activate this and then you can immediately summon it from your hand, which is great. Then you can immediately pop something off. You have a decent sized beater on the field, maybe start picking into your opponent's board a little bit, and then maybe during main phase 2, you can start your own setup. Yeah, sure, they may get the monster back during the end phase from the Seiyaryu, but interesting little going second card, but also Rhoda on top of it. That's a really strong search spell. Moving on, we have Holy Night Sky. It's a field spell. You can only use the second effect once per turn. So during the main phase, you can normal summon a Holy Knight or a level 7 light dragon in addition to your normal summon or set. That's really good because all of these are level 4. There's really no way to special summon the rest of these out except for Rael's banish effect that allows you to special summon one from the graveyard. So that's nice that you have a way to just get multiple of these onto the field. Rael can also search this, so that way you can go like Rael, add this, activate the field spell, and then you can play another monster. That's kind of cool. And then the second effect, remember, this is once per turn. If a face-up level 7 light dragon monster you control is returned to your hand during your turn, you can draw one card. So it doesn't say from the field to the hand, it just says return to the hand. So if we go back to Flamel here, this card's second effect will add a level 7 light dragon to your hand, so it will trigger the second effect of this field spell and allow you to draw a card. So that's pretty good. So if there are ways that you're going to be wanting to focusing on getting the Seiyaryu or the level 7 light dragons back to your hand, this is a way that's going to generate you card advantage. It's not bad. I mean, giving you an extra normal summon, any deck would love to have an extra normal summon, so that's pretty cool. All right, moving on, we have Holy Knight Nativity. So continuous spell card. You can only activate this card's 1 or 2 effect per turn and only once that turn. So again, this is one of those cards that you either activate one or the other. Just keep that in mind. During your main phase, you can reveal one light fairy monster from your hand, and if you do, add one level 7 light dragon monster from your deck to your hand, then place the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. Okay, so this is a cycling effect. It gets you to the Seiyaryu or it gets you to any light level 7 dragon, but you don't gain any advantage here. You actually have to play a card to do this. It is continuous, you don't lose advantage, but otherwise this card really won't be doing much. So that's okay, I suppose. It gets you to the Seiyaryu, which is cool. If your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon one level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Wow, that's really strong. This is the true Draco clause on this spell card here, and this allows for a lot of interaction because if your opponent activates something like a hand trap, even if they just activate an effect of a monster that's on the field, you can then just summon out the Seiyaryu, and that's going to pop another card in addition to whatever else that you're doing for that turn. But that's potentially a really, really devastating effect and is good for a lot of different types of disruption. So it's cool that like on your turn, you can get the Seiyaryu to your hand, and then on your opponent's turn, let's say they activate a card effect, you can just drop this down. That's pretty neat. Let's go ahead and see what else they have though, because I think we're getting down to some trap cards. So we have Holy Night Advent, continuous trap. You can only use this card's name one effect once per turn. During the main phase, you can activate one of these effects. Target a level 7 light dragon monster you control, return it to the hand. Okay, I mean, it does trigger the field spell, so that's cool. You get a draw. But, I mean, I guess it also does give you protection, right? You can bounce it back to your hand if it's threatened. That kind of makes sense. Then the other effect, special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from your hand. Oh, that's kind of cool. So during your opponent's turn, you can like bounce it back to your hand, draw a card off the field spell, and then during your next turn, you can activate it, drop it down again, and then you actually get to use the effect and pop something. So that's pretty cool. You basically have this little engine then where you get to draw a card every time and pop a card every time over the course of an entire turn cycle. Very, very interesting. Let's then move on to what I believe to be the last trap card here, Holy Night Blast. Normal trap card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. When an opponent's card or effect is activated, return one level 7 light dragon monster you control to the hand. Negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it. Okay, so this is a way to negate your opponent's effects. It negates anything. I kind of wish this were a counter trap, to be honest, because if it were, you'd have a lot more value in being able to just completely shut down your opponent's plays. This is nice because this also triggers the field spell, so not only are you negating a card your opponent has, but you also get to draw a card as well, and depending on the circumstances of the board state, that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and see down here, they actually had a list of some other light level 7s that might be of note. Arcbrave Dragon, Odd-Eye Saber Dragon, Saravis, the Ancient and Ascended Hieratic Dragon of Asar, Hyozen Ryu, White Dragon Ninja, Photon Wyvern, the Seiyaryu, of course, Light Raid Diabolos, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, Kaiser Dragon, Michael, the Arc Lightsworn, and Shooting Riser Dragon. So overall, very, very interesting archetype. There's a lot of cool synergies here. One of the things that I'm concerned about with this archetype is that you have the cards focused around this one main boss monster that has to specifically target a card and destroy a card. And as we all know from a competitive perspective, targeting and destruction are some of the two worst effects in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Because most cards have a way either around targeting or they're like immune to being destroyed. And that's kind of an issue when you're trying to look at the competitive viability of an archetype. A lot of time cards, if they're sent to the graveyard instead of being destroyed, or if they're bounced back to the hand and they end up going back to the extra deck or something like that, those types of effects are usually a lot better. But again, this card targets and destroys. To be fair, it is any card, so it doesn't have to be face up or face down. It doesn't have to be a monster. It doesn't have to be a spell or trap. It gives you the freedom to pick whatever the card is. And again, I want you guys to remember, there's no once per turn clause specifically on the Radiant Seiyaryu itself, which is very important because if you have multiple copies of this and you have multiple ways to get them onto the board, you could be just popping stuff left and right with this card by itself. And again, it's a very relevant card type. Dragon is one of the most popular card types in the game. There's an infinite amount of support for it. So this could be the bones of a very, very interesting archetype that we can expect in the future. before. I'm really excited to see where it goes. The artwork's pretty cool as well. Very, very interesting. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the brand new Holy Knight archetype. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.